Welcome to our channel. What could a Mets pivot away from Pete Alonso look like? Turning to Alex Bregman could make the most sense if a reunion with Alonso isn't in the cards. Let's get this out of the way from the jump. The Mets should re-sign Pete Alonso, who should want to stay in Queens. Given how his market seems to be shaking out, a reunion makes all the sense in the world. Sometimes, though, the most sensible outcome isn't the actual outcome. And with 2024 flipping to 2025, Alonso is one of the only big position player free agents still out there. Scott Boras, whom Alonso hired during the 2023-24 offseason, has been waiting out the market, likely with the hope that one team will come forward and offer Alonso the massive deal he's seeking. And all it would take is that one team. But the longer this drags on, as more teams fill their needs at first base and elsewhere, the unlikelier it seems that Alonso will get that huge money, long-term contract. As is noted above, the equation seems simple. Alonso needs a team. The Mets need another big bat to help protect Juan Soto. But the possibility remains that Alonso does not return to the Mets, which would mean New York going in a different direction. What could that pivot look like? The Alex Bregman option. New York has been linked to Bregman, who is reportedly drawing significant interest from the Tigers and has also been connected to the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Yankees. For the Mets, Bregman would be perhaps the cleanest option if they don't retain Alonso. Bregman, an elite defender at third base, could take over at the hot corner, with Mark Vientos sliding to first base. Bregman is a more gifted hitter than Alonso, albeit without the massive power. And though he had a relatively down season at the plate in 2024, he slashed .288/.338/.524 with 22 home runs, 20 doubles, 54 RBI, and 65 runs scored in 94 games from May 28th through the end of the regular season, numbers much more in line with his career OPS of .848. It's fair to believe Bregman could age better than Alonso, but it's also fair to wonder whether the Mets would be willing to give Bregman the deal. In terms of years, it could require to land him. The trade route. Nolan Arenado has been made available by the Cardinals, who are taking a step back in 2025 and resetting a bit. There was a deal in place with the Astros earlier this offseason, but Arenado used his no-trade clause to block it. He has indicated he would accept a deal to the Mets, but it's hard to make an argument for David Stearns and company pursuing it. Arenado is entering his age 34 season, has been trending down offensively over the last 3 years. His OPS in 2024 was .719 and has an annual luxury tax hit of $25.5 million through the 2027 season. Perhaps it could make sense if the Cardinals eat a chunk of Arenado's salary. The Mets don't have to part with any potential impact players to get him, and New York's front office thinks there's a bounce back coming. But this one is hard to see. What about an outfielder or DH? Anthony Santander, who profiles as a corner outfielder or DH option, is still on the free agent market. Like Bregman, Santander rejected a qualifying offer after the season, meaning the Mets would face draft pick penalties if they sign him. Santander, who will be entering his age 30 season in 2025, smacked a career-high 44 home runs last year while posting in .814 OPS. But while he's been a solidly above-average offensive player over the last 3 seasons, he doesn't get on base much. .308 OBP in 2024, career OBP of .307, and his outfield defense leaves a lot to be desired. If the Mets sign Santander, they would have 2 options. The first would be to use him in the outfield and slide Brandon Nimmo back to center, not ideal. The second would be to use him as a full-time DH. Either way, Santander wouldn't help solve the Mets' hole at first base. The first base stopgap option. The best stopgap options, Josh Naylor, Carlos Santana, and Paul Goldschmidt, are off the board, meaning the Mets would have to swing a trade or choose from a free agent crop that includes Ty France and Justin Turner. The Mets could conceivably sign a stopgap third baseman and slide Vientos to first base for 2025, but that doesn't feel like something they would do if it's only temporary, nor would it be wise.